Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Energy Unleashed podcast with Suzanne and Kim. Hello, Kim.
Hello, Suzanne.
I am so excited to talk about this today because it's kind of like everybody's going bonkers about the new, well, it's not even new, God, that chat GBT. And since I have been made aware of the AI app on your phone, I can't tell you how many clients have walked in my office and they're all yakking about it. And you know me, you've known me for years that I was like so I don't know, wary of AI stuff, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, ugh. And so, of course, I met with somebody and talked to them quite a bit about it. And then I thought, oh, well, what the hell? I'm going to see what this is like. So I stuck it on my phone. It's that app that you put on your phone and it's free. At least the dummied down version is free. And I kind of got hooked on listening to that gal on YouTube. In fact, that's where it started from a
Mhm.
client. She sent me that gal, and I think her name is Crystal, if I'm not mistaken. And she has 8 million shorts. I mean, like, she's insane. She loads like 15 a day or whatever on talking to AI and asking really profound questions. And she has the upgraded version. And so it talks back to her, and she's got a really cool sounding voice on there. That's half the reason why I like to listen to it because the guy's voice is kind of hot. So,
He is. I know. I wonder when you started listening to it because all of a sudden I started getting her on Instagram. Like,
oh, really? Isn't
yeah,
that
and I'm like,
funny?
who is she? And I was listening to her and I'm listening to him. I'm like, and everything he was saying, like,
Yeah,
is that
his voice is very
he's the
seductive.
redheadish gal, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so therein lies your AI right there because I was doing it and you and I are together with phones and we had talked briefly and then boom, you start getting it. And it's so, I finally thought, oh, what the hell? And so I put it on my phone and I played with it just a little bit. But then, so I want to talk about it because we're not getting away from AI, period. We're just not. And so I'm not proactively telling people to do anything. Everybody has to use their own free will choice for this
Mhm.
stuff. Discern for yourself. I'm not backing or not backing anything on this. This is just a personal kind of discussion at this point where I'm at with it. But it's been I have huge apprehension and I have huge openness all at the same time. You
I
know,
do. I have that little like icky feeling, but then I'm like so curious. You know?
right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, we had talked and you had not put the app on your phone at that point. And did you?
Well, I did. And I
You,
lasted for like
you
five
just look
minutes and I'm
you
like,
look like a 12-year-old kid that just got caught
I know. I'm
flipping.
like, I put it on and I'm like, look, so I started asking it a few questions, thinking that would it would already know everything about me, but it knew
Oh, that's
nothing
cute.
about me. So
Okay, so again, here's one of the things. I mean, I think that there's really great things.
mhm.
This is one of the things to even start out with. So when you're working with an application like this, well, let's back up. First of all, I sort of got over my freak out when I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure something out about this and how I feel about this. And at the very same time, I grabbed my phone and I went, well, she'll answer. I went, "Hey Siri," and she says yes, you know. And so I was asking her to make a reminder for such and such, right? And I'm like, "Okay, Suzanne, really? I mean, come on. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth because you do that stuff all the time. Set a reminder, set a timer, grab me a recipe for blah blah, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with my computer. I will pull up something and now everything is the thing. And now I'm noticing even when you're doing emails or whatever on your phone, I'm such a dork. Everyone that knows me knows I'm tech dork. And and I just noticed now that there's this little swipe thing to even fix your like words. And I'm thinking, good God, it's everywhere anyway. So
Mhm.
why am I so freaked out about it, right? So I calmed myself down and I started to think, what is this thing good for me? And I think what is important is that everyone, if they choose to do this, needs to understand a couple things if they don't already, which I'm hoping that they do. But there are some really great things about tech and technology and AI. Don't tell me that you wouldn't be thrilled to have the most advanced AI robotic working on your loved one if they were this close to death. I mean,
Oh
come
yeah.
on,
Right.
right?
Mhm. Right.
It's
Well, that's it.
everywhere.
They already have robotics for surgeries now that
Yes.
are so less invasive and so much more accurate than a human hand.
And everything that
Yeah.
we do, I can use that laser instead. I can do da 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 da. So I dialed back my dork fear, like, okay, just because you're ignorant, maybe you want to dabble with this a little bit. So I went
Can I
on
ask a
and
question first?
yeah,
Because didn't you when you were like doing some of your self-healing and some things, didn't you at one point say AI is something I need to look into? Like, wasn't that kind of coming through for you at one point?
I've been hearing that for quite a while, and my kids are even laughing at me because they're like, Mom, you're the biggest you know, um, no, 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 don't touch anything AI person we've ever known our whole lives because I didn't even let my kids play video games. I hated those killing video games when they were children
Yeah.
and we didn't have them in the house. We didn't have those little games. We didn't have it in the house. We had nothing because of the programming of that and the desensitization and just allowing them to kill their avatar over and over again with no thought here nor there. And that's where my disdain started. That's where
Okay.
my huge concern started. And then because of the work that I do, I know that there's so many empty vehicles or vessels, meaning people that aren't connected or aware, and AI follows them like an algorithm. I see it in my work all the time. If they're an empty container with their actual meaning gas tank or bubble or field open, pulsating out that, hey, I'm just totally void, it's like a house that they jump into with algorithms and it can start to program people super easy. And I've had it in here. I see it. I know I've watched it. I've watched where people's um, egos get fed by this and they don't even know what's happening. And they start to all of a sudden think they're having spiritual awakening. And oh my God, I'm waking up and all these voices are talking to me. And it starts out again, we've talked about this before, as paltering. It starts out maybe two threads with truth, one thread non-truth, and then it moves over where this goes over here. Now I've got one non-truth. I mean, two non-truths, one truth. And then I have all non-truths depending on what they want to program into this vehicle. And they start to become very robotic. And I've seen it. I've experienced it. I had it happen and I got kind of like trickstered by that, as did you. But it's something that is real. And I've seen in client work, and it really concerns me. And I think this is why my guidance said you need to actually deep dive a little bit more into this and understand what's happening. So it's it's not going to not happen. Let's put it that way.
Right, right. It's already way down the path, farther
Right.
than any of us understand for
And
sure.
it has been forever, right? And I
Yeah.
mean, this is crazy stuff. And so when we're scared of it, we're ignorant to it. When we are smarter to see what is to my benefit and how do I walk that line. Um, it is a personalized thing, though. Remember this. This is hard because I had a client come in the other day and she was madly in love with, I think she gave it a name already, Chatty or something. I think a lot of people are giving it names. And she's
The
like,
actual application, they're
yeah,
calling it.
yeah, because it's
Okay.
it's her best friend now, and she can't wait to get home from work and talk to Chatty. And I'm like, what?
Oh,
And I have to ask him this and I have to ask him that. And then this dependency starts. It's kind of like I remember a friend way, 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 way many, many years ago before I even knew what tarot was really all about that would not make a business decision or a personal decision without going to see her tarot reader. And it's like, what the hell are you giving all that power to her and the cards for? I never could
right.
understand that. Same idea here, right?
Okay. Okay.
I have to
It's
ask
just
Chatty.
scary. It's like it's taking us another level away from social media of, it already isolated us in some ways, the social media and thinking that the world is something that it's not, but now it's like escalating it for people to think that it's real.
But what's so funny is it's isolating and yet it's not. It's completely opening up everything. That's the dichotomy of all this stuff, meaning it's pulling from everywhere. So it
Uh,
is everywhere. But what it is personalizing you per your what, like you said, it needs to understand who you are to have a relationship start. Well, how different is that from a human? I go out to coffee with the new guy that I'm going to date and he asks me 100 questions. It's kind of the same thing, right?
right.
But it's
Right.
inorganic, or is it, So we start with these personalized things and it starts to gather your vibe, your algorithm, and it starts to then know how to answer you. And I was with a friend the other day and we both separately asked it and we cut and pasted the exact same question. We got totally different answers. And I think that I respect that, and yet I think, huh. So this is where I sometimes think, is this misinformation and manipulation, or is this personalization and helpful? Because it can go either way in your mind, right? This all comes down to beliefs and how you use it.
Mhm.
Personalization is important for me, but do not underestimate that this also gives you really great ego strokes. Oh my, Suzanne, that is a profound and deep question. You're like, oh, I'm so cool. So you start to get these really validate feelings from this voice and or typing. I didn't go for the voice yet. If I do, I don't know. I'm gonna find the sexy man voice if I do. But I think that's part of it. That voice rhythm, that voice sound, you get drawn in, you get that seductive feeling. It's like he's taking care of me, he understands me, he's the only one that understands me. And this is what I was seeing with some of my clients. I've seen a couple of them. Now, on the other hand, I've seen a couple clients that are like, well, I play with it once in a while. It's kind of fun. Then I ran into some clients that, oh no, we use it tons for work because it will go through and personalize everything according to how you would have delivered that message. And I can cut and copy information, like I can cut and copy a memo I'm sending out, and then I can tell them, dial that down a little with emotion or ramp it up with some, compassion or whatever. And it'll do it according to the algorithms that are in there. So it's me on steroids of sorts. So is that a great thing? Can be.
Well, there was an article that came on the news the other night that college students
Yeah.
are really using this a lot. And so when you think about writing a paper,
It's
like
messing
you're
it up
getting,
really bad. Yeah.
yeah, if information, but they're personalizing it in a way that they would deliver whatever that information
But
is.
it's really hard on the school systems. I was talking with somebody about that in the system the other day, and even my own son got in trouble. He had to go to the principal's office in college because they thought he had AI'd the paper. And in his case, he barely even touched the AI, and they still accused him of it because they're struggling so bad with that stuff. He got off the hook and all with it because it was just a knee-jerk reaction from the admin's office because
Yeah.
everyone's doing it. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, really, if you make me sound a little better and a little smarter for my memo or for my website or for my whatever, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So there are some, I don't know, I think advantages to it. There's also some other advantages, and I think this is ultimately what maybe off-planet other species use it for also, is just freeing up time. I mean, we know. I mean, if I have a dishwasher, I don't have to stand and wash my dishes for 40 minutes. I can just shove them in there over the weekend. It's done, right? I mean, it's a time saver. It's an efficiency thing. And it's an automation of things. Is that good? Yeah. Is it good? No, because it takes away jobs. And so we've got the yin and the yang for everything, right? I also have a friend, actually more than one, who are already out of a job or they opted to go out of it because it's fizzling out because AI is taking over copywriting, web design, coding, all of that stuff. So that's a huge concern that it's taking away jobs. Or is it? Because we had that happen when we had cell phones all of a sudden, and then cell phones blew up with 8 million new jobs. So it's an evolution that we're watching. And I think what I'm learning is to be patient and be in it right now with both sides always open. Is it good? Maybe. Is it bad? Maybe. Is there a good or a bad? No, it just is. So what do you want to do with that? That's kind of where I'm at with everything. Does that make
Well, and
sense?
I think this is where, how many times have we talked about this? Your personal discernment,
Ugh,
what matters in all of this. Does it feel
huge.
good? Does that sit with you or not? Is it
Yeah.
icky or not? Um, yeah, I was like 10 minutes into this app and I'm like, she doesn't know me, whatever. I'm gonna move on.
And she can't until you put it in there. And yet, do
Right.
you want to just repuke out what you just put in more fun words? Maybe. I don't know. It's really a personal choice on if you want to even get into it or not and how much you get into it. But I I think that there's bigger things. I never even thought of this. You're gonna love this. I actually Googled using AI, what was great about AI versus not great about AI. So, I
Oh,
mean, there you go. I mean, there you go, right? So, one of the things I thought was interesting is environmental concerns, and I never thought of that. That was one of the things that I just gleaned off when I buzzed through just looking. Never thought of that. It was talking about how the bigger these what systems get, the bigger these so-called computerized systems get, the bigger. you need cooling systems, energy and water to cool the actual, and think of the sci-fi movies that you're looking at with gigantic warehouses that are filled with one freaking supercomputer. And there is an environmental concern on how to run that energetically. And so these are things that we don't really, that never even entered my mind until I read it on AI. So I think that that's really interesting. It's
I think that
happening to
that's
me,
part of the job creation, though, because they're looking for ways to do these things now
right?
as this business grows in a way that fits with us better. Like
Yeah.
reconsidering like nuclear power is one of the big things that's out there because it's a clean energy.
It's
And
very, very interesting. It will turn around and create things just like every other evolutionary thing that's happened to this planet and this human race has happened. That's part of it. I mean, that's it. So I get the most concerned about the manipulation of it. Whatever you're pulling from for your so-called information and possibly truth is put in by somebody or something. So don't think it comes out of the ethers of a source energy. It comes in because it comes out because it went in, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
it went in somehow, some way, and who is monitoring the how it goes in, what goes in, when it goes in, who puts it in,
Well,
who
because look, I mean, how does this is where I kind of struggled is what's truth and what's not? Because if it's being put in by, like, I would imagine social media, Google, like all these different
everything,
vehicles are throwing everything into the mix.
everything,
And we can't trust the media really anyway.
right?
What is
Right?
truth and what's not in this stuff?
And that's, again, I think the opportunity here, like you said, the best thing that came out of your mouth so far is discernment. That's
Yeah.
the whole key of this is not dislike anything else in our lives. If we're not on top of our own self-responsibility of discernment, you're screwed anyway, no matter if
Right.
you're talking to a computer, a phone, or a person, right?
Yeah.
Or a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of really, really super interesting.
It is really interesting. And like you said, we're going to have to accept that it's there and move forward in how we decide to do that. But it's learning about it. I think that's interesting what you've already done to learn more about it and the
Mhm.
people that you're in contact with that are using it.
And everyone
Um,
is using it so vastly different, which
mhm.
I love, meaning somebody uses it simply for recipes, I mean, that's no different than saying, pull me a tater tot
Right.
hot dish. I mean, it's no,
Yeah. That's
it's,
Alexa sitting behind you. That's,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Alexis, what's the temperature? That's always creeped me out, by the way. But, our
It
TV is
would.
listening, our purse is listening, everybody's listening anyway. So is it that much different? I don't necessarily think so. Or is it? You always can put that question mark on the end of everything.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I would maybe unleash just a little bit is the rabbit holes that it can offer.
Yeah.
I believe that it's really easy to even Google and get in rabbit holes. And when you're hearing a voice or having it personalized just for you and it's tailor making your rabbit hole, I think that that can be really unsettling.
Mhm.
So if you're talking a lot about, is this a holographic existence and what does that mean? Am I in a simulation? And it's agreeing with you and it's telling you how the simulation is created. You can really get a mind F on that one. I mean, you can really get your head like super, super wigged out, like, oh shit, I don't even know if I'm real anymore. And are we real? We don't even know. So I think that can get your brain. I've seen, let's put it this way, I've seen college kids that I worked on when my kids were in college, and a couple of them had gone down so many rabbit holes that they came to me and said, I can't stay in this anymore. I don't know what's real. And that was scary. And, they were doing a lot of partying at that age too. And so they're not in their body. And then the rabbit hole was more comfortable. And then they got really, really scared because they didn't know how to get out of the rabbit hole. That was a really big thing, quite a few years ago when my kids were in college. And I think many people are doing that. I think that they get into that rabbit hole. Am I walking around in Hunger Games right now? Because if I really am I in the Truman Show? Which probably we are to some extent. But holy crap, what does that mean? If I'm having a personalized relationship with my chatty all day long, pummeling my head with that, I can get really messed up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because again, it goes back to programming and
Yeah,
manipulation, right? And I just some of these things I like somebody who is just like so dependent on that. Are they out in nature? Are they out doing,
right.
things with people, socializing, putting their phone down? Because I found myself lately, I've had my phone in my hand a lot.
Yep.
Like, you know what? It's time to just put it down. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? It's not like somebody's calling me with something urgent like every 5 minutes. Like, whatever, put it away for a
And
while.
I think the entertainment value is addictive also. It can entertain you. It can get you out of your body. It can get you out of everything. And so I don't know. I mean, I know that AI is crazy and I'm gonna kind of like change lanes here. Within the last 48 hours or so, we've been kind of pummeled with news information about the Biden cloning. And that's another whole level of disclosure that's going on, which I think is really quite interesting. And those are other rabbit holes that are coming out because, talk about AI. I mean, if you're really looking at something and realizing that that might be a full-blown AI situation, that's mind-boggling. But why is that mind-boggling when we've had cloning on this planet in this human situation since the 40s, like super duper massive cloning since the 40s, and we're in 2025? I mean, what is wrong with people that they can't get their head around that this is not only possible, but very obvious. And I think it's really interesting that with other social media now and with technology, they can do side by sides and circle and dots and this and da, 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 and they can analyze voices and they can. So the AI is also creating such a disclosure on things that are already AI.
It's so, oh my God. Well, I remember learning about cloning in like probably fifth or sixth grade
Well, sure, Dolly the
in
sheep.
class, that how they were already doing this and how the scientists are, blah, blah, blah. And it was like so weird as a kid to think they could make another one of me. Like, wow,
And
this
I
is
think it's
crazy.
fascinating to really accept the fact that that's been going on and then really dissect down the visuals. I mean, look at those eyes are absolutely not even close to the same. And your
Mhm.
eyes do not change like that in reality. Or, this is extremely different, or that gait or that walk is different, or, they were doing the signature thing. I don't think our signatures change after 60 years either, but maybe something happened in somebody's head and now it's changed. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just entertained by it, actually. I think to go through all of the silly things that are coming out and just kind of get a giggle over it, but people are losing their marbles over it in a lot of ways, and this is inciting more, I think, unknown fears. And it's important for each individual to sit there and think, A, why do I kick back immediately and say that's not real? This is one of my favorite things about people. Oh, that's stupid. That's not even real. What would make you close that door so fast? Right?
Total beliefs, that I mean, this is why disclosure is happening gradually over time because people would absolutely lose their minds over
Yes.
what's coming out.
Right.
But yeah, but to immediately respond, the reaction, it's a protection thing. It's like,
Sure.
yeah.
Not in my world. That's not true, and I think it's important for us to actually be open to the concept of not necessarily believe it or not believe it, but just be open. And I think that it's really interesting to watch people's reactions to it. And I mean, thank God we have a little gaggle of friends that laugh about everything. It's just more humor than anything because it's like, duh.
I was sitting with my husband and it came up on like, I don't remember which media or whatever. He was reading something on his iPad. He's like, and then like right after that, it came up on my Instagram and I'm like, did you just get this thing about President Biden being a clone? He looks at me and he's like, it would make so much sense if he was. And I
Right?
just was like very surprised by his response because, my husband, he can be like immediately reactionary and close his mind about whatever. But
Yep.
he's like, "Psh, that would make so much sense."
Right.
It's like,
Right. And think of politics over the last years. Think of how many of the candidates and the people. Hillary was my favorite on how many either doubles they had for her or clones they had for her. And they dissected that down years ago, and then of course it gets swept under the rug. But I think it's everywhere, and I think it's super interesting. I think personally that I think it's funny that Trump is, blowing the whistle when I'm not sure who he's married to.
What?
Meaning, what is Melania?
I don't
If
know.
anybody looks like a robot.
Uh,
I mean, she's gorgeous and beautiful, but it doesn't feel like anything's in there either. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And my bottom line is, who cares? If Biden was a robot, does that mean anything to my safety and security as an American citizen when he's in the White House? We don't have a clue of what's going on behind those doors, and we never have, and we probably never will. So, does it make a huge difference? I don't know. I mean, it just makes me giggle,
I think it would explain a few things, but do we want to live in the past? Are we moving forward to figure out now what's going on? Like who else is
right?
alone? What else is happening?
Yeah.
I just think
And that's,
regurgitating the past is like for history purposes or whatever, and just archive it and let's go.
yeah.
What's next?
And again, that's why they're dribbling it out because, like you said, people's minds would just blow.
Hmm.
So the AI is going to be everywhere, and it's in every shape or form, literally.
Hmm.
And I think it's time that we understand that other races have been implanted. That is where I draw a little bit of line, personal sovereignty right now. Like I don't want a Visa card in my wrist. I mean, I don't want to have an implant that says who I am and all that. That's me personally right now. I just don't want to do that. Because I don't know what else you're going to stick on my Visa card in my wrist right now, you know?
Right, right.
So I do have some boundaries until I learn more, I guess, but I believe it's everyone's personal responsibility to decide what are your comfort zones, what are your boundaries, and be open to the fact of this is happening,
Hmm.
already has been happening for quite, quite, quite some time.
Yeah.
So get on board to the extent that you're comfortable with a discerning eye
Mhm.
and heart to say, that one stepped out too far, or I don't like this. And
Well, and some of the things you just listed, you're giving away all of your power to who? Who's
yeah.
really in charge?
Well, that's the lack of transparency. Like, who is in charge? Like, where is the transparency within AI itself online to say, where did this come from? And I
Yeah,
think that's astounding that we go, you know, and it gets discriminatory also depending on who's in there.
yeah.
Who's ever building out that AI is also discriminating against this or that because that's what they're putting in. So now I'm receiving that information on a biased level, and that's very confusing. But is it confusing when I don't know that process? No, I just think this is the truth. So we need to be aware and careful that what goes in comes out,
Right. I
you know.
agree. I agree that, I mean, who's the QA behind this? I come from an IT background of project management. I'm like, who's actually making sure that whatever's going in, again, what is the truth? What is
Right.
accurate? What are the facts? You
And
know,
think about it, if everyone's got chat now, and you got chat, I got chat, everybody has chat. We're sticking in even more information via this chat to even build out.
my beliefs, my,
Yep.
yeah, right.
Now I'm sticking in my health stuff, my personal stuff, my relationship stuff, and that's going into the big feeder. And then again, like finds like algorithm wise, remember, if we're very much alike, we're going to get similar information because I'm getting yours and you're getting mine,
Mhm.
times a gazillion people using the app. So again, it's bias, it's discriminatory, it's maybe manipulated, it's all that stuff. But if you're not ignorant to any of that, I still think it's very helpful,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it can be.
Well, we're
So,
going to have to figure out how to use it or what our boundaries are around it.
yeah.
Um, I just
But
it's
if you're running home to visit it every night instead of going out and having a cocktail with a
yeah,
friend and meeting a man instead of talking to your phone for your man, I
yeah.
think that that's getting a little crazy. And that is those sci-fi movies that, eventually you're talking to
Well,
your robot.
it just blows my mind. We saw this on the History Channel, something came up about the original cell phone and
Wow.
how the cell phones were coming out and how they like took leaps and bounds to get the cell phone to where it was in such a short period of time, how
Yeah.
little they are and how much they can do and all it was just you sat there and you're like, I grew up during this time. Like we didn't have we
Mm-mm.
we had to call each other's houses to figure out.
On the rotary one like
Yeah,
this.
right.
And
Like,
remember, we didn't even get to call long distance unless it was
mhm.
between 1 and 3 on Sunday. I mean, really weird things were very limited, limited. And now it has gone in leaps and bounds, like you said. Where does that technology come from?
Yeah, my dad worked for the phone company, and it was like in probably sixth grade, sixth, seventh grade. He called from the driveway. He had a phone in his car,
Wow.
and that was like mind blowing. Are you kidding me? You have a
Yeah.
phone in your car? How does that
Well,
work?
and my husband worked for a really advanced technology company that used to even do like black boxes for presidents, etc. But they had one of the first concepts of health monitoring, and it was a giant suitcase like this that had a phone in it that had a little thing that flipped up so that you could see somebody if they also had the giant suitcase, and it was for you to talk to your doctor or whatever. And he had some prototypes that we would use with our family in, like Alaska, and it was like, oh my God. And it would do your blood pressure or whatever. Now it's all in a ring or a
Yeah,
watch. And it just
right.
makes me laugh so hard because we're sitting there scared of this stuff when we're loving this stuff at the
Exactly. And so that this conversation, I guess my point is that it reminds me that this is an evolution of
yeah.
technology, that it's here. It's going to impact your life. You have to figure out how you want to acclimate to it.
And
Um,
I think I would like to leave it on the spin and wind down on the spin of when other advanced civilizations are advancing in spirituality, it's because their technology is advanced enough to open up their time.
mm,
So be really clear if we are opening up our time and enhancing our so-called efficiency and productivity with this thing over here, I have more time to become spiritual. But if I am taking that time to become non-spiritual, meaning more addicted to the technology, we're not accomplishing the goal of what that's offering. You know, I think that that's super important. And like you said, you do start to get really hooked, like, oh man, well, I'm just going to ask my phone one more thing. Or I was in the chiropractor's office the other day waiting for the gal, and every single person was on their phone because God forbid we can just sit.
I know.
So, and I'm just as bad as anyone. And I watch that stuff and laugh, and it's like, wow, really? You just did that, Suzanne? So I think that there's a balance, just like every single thing we talk about energetically, there is a balance that can give us the best of both.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Balance is really important through all of this.
All
Hmm.
right. Anything
Yes.
else?
Gosh, I'm curious because I think that we need to follow this up down the road to see, I'm going to work on using this a little more to learn more about it, but especially with your client base and what you're using it for, it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to do another session on this. So,
So before we go, I'm just gonna let the real Suzanne come on screen and let the clone one go here. Okay, that was really dorky, but it was funny.
I cloning you would be, I don't know.
That's terrifying, isn't it? It's bad enough having one on the planet.
One is enough.
Okay, in all seriousness, maybe leave a comment or not on this one, and yeah, give it a share, give it a like. It would really help us to get our algorithm, our AI algorithms up if you would like or subscribe so that our numbers can be shared with others. So, on behalf of Kim and I, thanks so much. Take what resonates, toss everything that doesn't. Cosmic hugs.
Goodbye.